Okay, hello everyone. Hope you're all well. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today is a good one. It's kind of been a awkward week or two in a sense. We haven't really made a lot of time to record, but we done so well at the start, getting them all backed up.
I
So
feel like we're running
we
out of those episodes pretty quickly. I feel like
we
we
are.
we recorded
This is
like
next week's already.
we recorded like three or four, and we were so well set up, and now life has just got in the way, and it's
Yeah.
now the 8th of May already, and we're only 1 week in advance now. So
Look, that's what's going to happen at the end of the day. We are currently in the middle of our finals. Well, I just finished my finals
congrats,
exams this
congrats.
week, and then Ciaran has his this week. So we're trying to make time. But today is going to be a good one, I feel like. We're talking about getting outside your comfort zone, continuing on from the theme of um, over the past few weeks, we've kind of been talking about everything on how to start and how to start, the mindset required. You need discipline, um, and now it's going to be an interesting topic because stepping outside your comfort zone may seem daunting to a lot of people, and that's why we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, Dara. I'm excited for this one. I think it's important to preface, like, I think in a lot of these episodes that we chat and we have conversations about kind of deeper stuff, I feel like a lot of the same themes are going to come up in the same episodes, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think there's a lot of themes that overlap with each other and cross with each other in life, and I think it's important for us to be familiar with it. So, like, I think getting out of your comfort zone, I'm sure we've mentioned it in the previous 5 or 6 podcasts that we've done, but I think having an actual conversation of getting outside your comfort zone, why people maybe are inclined naturally to stay inside their comfort zones, and how to actually get outside your comfort zone and stuff like that. I think it's going to be, yeah, I'm excited for this because this has been a big part of my journey and trying to like start my journey, get onto my path, and it's as kind of the main reason as to why I'm where I am now, is getting outside my comfort zone. So yeah, no, I'm excited for this.
I think we'll start off with in the sense that I want to talk about why this topic actually came to mind.
Mhm.
Recently, I've started listening to this podcast, and it's amazing. For anyone who obviously listens to podcasts, you listen to this, but for anyone who kind of wants a recommendation for one, it's called Founders Podcast by I think David Senra, I think his name is. Very, very good. I've only found it in the last 2 weeks, and I've listened to them nonstop. Basically, it goes into detail on the biggest founders and entrepreneurs and most impactful founders and entrepreneurs over the past forever, pretty much. You know, I've already listened to Walt Disney's one. Um, I had Bugatti. I listened to who else was there? Red Bull's founder. That's a mad story as well, by the way.
Okay.
But these people are just so influential, and they've built empires that people are. It's just their household brands, and the whole idea of the podcast. They read the podcast host reads an autobiography or a biography, and basically talks about how they started, which is again the key theme of this podcast and what I'm trying to build. But um, one of the common themes that I found in those particular episodes that I listened to was that people wanted they wanted to start something. Realistically, they wanted to build whatever. They were stuck in their job, or they, they didn't like where they were, so they wanted to build something. And of course, we always talk about just start and how that's the motto for the brand. But another theme that I found very evident throughout a lot of the episodes was that they had to step outside their comfort zone to build the thing that they ended up building. Um, that's like the main reason why I wanted to bring this up with you, because I wanted to get your opinion on it, because I know you've taken a lot of steps in the past couple of years that have been outside of your comfort zone. So really I wanted to just like shed light on the idea and the topic, and then to kind of learn about what what you've done and how it's kind of impacted you.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. I haven't heard of that podcast before you just mentioned it there, and definitely I'll give it a listen. I think it's really important to understand that I suppose anything worth achieving is going to have to take some form of discomfort. Nothing worth achieving, like I've said before, nothing worth achieving is going to be easy. And I think sometimes it requires us to get outside of our comfort zone. Now, before we talk about like how to get outside your comfort zone, I think it's probably a good place to start about like, well, why are people naturally inclined to stay in their comfort zone? Like why do like the majority of people, it's if you're constantly searching for discomfort and pursuing discomfort and pursuing like growth and that, I feel like you are in the minority. I think people probably often look at like, it's very easy to look online on Instagram nowadays and be like everybody's getting outside their comfort zone, everyone's a marathon runner now, everyone is doing these things, and look at me, I'm not really doing it. But I think that's just social media being toxic, and I think that that's not actually the truth. So I think the ability to get outside your comfort zone can be a scary thing, and I think it's a natural thing to be scared to be outside your comfort zone. I think one thing that I associate a lot with from my past and my upbringing is the whole like, don't try, don't fail. I've always hated that mindset of like, if I don't try, I don't fail. And I came across this a lot in tennis, and the people that always did this used to frustrate me the most. Um, now that I look back at it, it's a fear of being able. So that don't try, don't fail attitude is coming from a fear of getting outside the comfort zone. It's a fear of uncertainty. It's maybe a low self esteem, low self worth talking. And I suppose maybe I dislike them the most because I was just projecting on maybe what feared me the most, you know. So who knows? For whatever reason, I didn't like it. But if people are constantly like not trying things and not pursuing really like harder tasks, and they're not like getting outside their comfort zone and not striving for goals, or even when they do strive for a goal, they're not really putting in their 100% effort, or they're not like giving it their all, they're never gonna fail. Like, so that's it's a protection mechanism, isn't it? And I think while that is obviously our minds trying to protect us from hurt and sadness and fear and failure and all that sort of stuff, yeah, okay, it protects us, but you're never going to achieve anything with that mindset, are you? Like, it's a very limiting belief. So although it protects us in the short term, in the long term, it's really hindering us because we're never going to achieve anything worth achieving. Because if we're constantly not trying, we're never going to get outside our comfort zones, and we're never going to achieve anything.
Yeah, and I think again, so like it's kind of, I don't want to say it, but it's okay if you don't really want to achieve something.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, it's the minority of people who are actually striving or who are trying to build the billion-dollar company. Like, obviously, you need people in the world who are just going to be normal. And I don't think there's ever going to be a world where the masses are starting their own business and doing crazy marathons and all that type of stuff. And like you said, social media definitely does play a role in kind of hyping all that stuff up. But like, there's a lot of people who are okay with just being normal, and I think a reason for that would be because they're kind of unaware of the possibilities and of the yeah, I mean, the possibilities of achieving something great. Maybe they've never really achieved anything in their life. Maybe they've just been middle of the pack the whole time and just kind of fit in, and they've never lost, but they've never won. So they're kind of just fine with being in the middle. And I think that develops into like a comfortable mindset on they just want their life to be simple and easy. And that's what kills you. Like, if you deep down you really want to build something or achieve something, like, you'll know, and you'll know that you're not where you want to be, or there's things that you want to build, but you maybe aren't skilled enough to build it. And I think when you realize that, like you said, nothing ever good comes from comfort. Like, being in the same place for years and years and years, you're never going to really achieve anything. You're just going to stay the same. And I think definitely, like, through adversity is where you grow the most. And through challenges, and obviously that's the whole thing. That's the reason we started this podcast, was to talk about our failures and how they've impacted us. But I definitely think that, like, with those failures, you're at the bottom of the pack. You're in the hole, and you have to get outside your comfort zone to get out of that hole. Um, I know for me, the worst place that I was in was when I came over here after, what was it, my third semester or my fourth, maybe it was my third semester, when I wasn't playing, I was injured and all that stuff, and it was I took a massive step in terms of start posting on social media, and I think that's like the extreme step outside your comfort zone,
Yeah, yeah.
because you're exposing yourself to everyone and anyone to talk shy or to laugh at you or to joke with you, and I think I don't really know, looking back now, like I don't really know if the whole idea of like people making fun of me really crossed my mind. Maybe that's a bit weird because
Really, yeah.
I don't, honestly, looking back now, I don't think so, because I just decided I'm gonna do it and then I just done it. I wasn't like
That's
I
so hard for me
probably
to comprehend.
if I had a thought about it, I would never have done it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But yeah, maybe I didn't even do it. Yeah, I don't even think I just, if that even crossed my mind. And again, it was that whole thing of like, fuck it, like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm jumping right in the deep end,
Mm-hmm.
and like look what's happened from it. You know, very easily could have just plodded on and done the same shy every single day, and I would never have, you know, built up the brand or built up the following or even changed my mindset. Nothing, none of that would have happened if I never would have jumped outside my comfort zone there and then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I definitely think that like the adversity that you face, like, is definitely going to be the catalyst to you going on to achieve, or you going on to even just taking that first step outside of your comfort zone. Because yeah, without those setbacks, like you're never going to really learn anything. And I think again, staying in the middle of the pack, yeah, it's fine if you want to live a normal, easy life. But if you do want to achieve something, if you do want to, make a change in the world or just be influential in any sort, I think you definitely need to take risks and get outside that comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I think sometimes like the whole, if you want to be normal, like that maybe sound that comes across as like there's a negative connotation with like being normal. There's absolutely no negative connotation for me anyway. Whenever I say that, like whenever I say like the middle of the pack or like that ease or comfort, like that's completely okay. And this is each to their own. And everybody listen to this podcast, like you just have to decide what you want to do with your life. And if that's whatever, if that is means your life is relatively easy, of course there's going to be challenges along the way, but maybe you don't like push yourself to achieve like these things, that's absolutely fine. That's no problem at all. Everybody each to their own, and I don't think anybody should ever be judged for their decisions and what they want to do with their own lives. We should just let people be. I think there's a lot of, sometimes people might feel pressure that they have to do these great things because again we see on Instagram everybody's achieving these things, but no, like it's just for me. So having said that, the reason that I like to get outside my comfort zone is just from my personal experience and from me talking, what I would consider to be complacency. That really scares me. I'm scared by complacency. I'm scared by that not, and I'm not saying creating a drug that's going to cure cancer or a multi-billion-dollar business. That's not what I'm trying to do. But just that complacency, that not striving to achieve a goal or achieve something, that scares me. The thought of like living in the same place for my entire life and having my kids go to the school that I went to and then the secondary school that I went to and then just like repeat that cycle. That kind of scares me a little bit. I want to go and this sounds cringy, but like I'm here for 80 years. The earth has a lot to offer, and I want to try and experience it and trying to achieve as much as I can. Now, maybe I'm saying that because that comes from a place of insecurity because I feel as if I have to go and prove to myself that I was able to achieve these things. I don't know, but for whatever reason, complacency scares me. So my ability to get outside my comfort zone was really, really important. Now, when I first was starting this journey, that was shit scary. The ability to get outside my comfort zone, and when you break it down, the ability to get outside your comfort zone is just the vulnerability to be imperfect, isn't it? Like it's the awareness that, yeah, I'm probably going to fail in the shortcomings, and I'm probably going to fall down a lot of times before I actually get to where I want to go. And I think reframing failure is really important when you want to try and initially get outside your comfort zone. Because, yeah, when you get outside your comfort zone, of course you're going to fail. You're going to fail probably 100 times before you succeed the first time. And you should fail. Don't be afraid of failing. Failing is a necessity in order to move forward. You know, we have to learn from our failures in order to get ourselves forward and become better people. Um, so if you think that getting outside your comfort zone isn't going to include failure, you're unfortunately you're wrong on that one. Um, Now maybe not. Maybe I just haven't encountered people that have succeeded at everything in their life so far. But I think for me, I had to reframe that fear of failure. I now embrace failure. Of course, okay. Say if we look at it from a tennis perspective, every time I lose a tennis match, I'm like, ah, well, shite, that wasn't good. I didn't like that. But I give myself time to process that negative emotion, and then in a couple of days I'll look back and be like, okay, let's learn from that. Let's learn from my mistakes. Let's learn from these failures, and then I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to be better. So I always try and take away some learnings from a failure, and through that, I'm not scared by failure anymore. I'm not put off by that fear of, well, what if I don't succeed? That's going to make me a failure. No, it's not a reflection on my character. I don't mind failing. I'm just not going to stop until I succeed. And now that with that mindset, it's really helped me to in scenarios over the last kind of 2 or 3 years get outside my comfort zone. And in the last 2 or 3 years, I've grown as a person more than I've ever done before. And as a result of that, I'm the most secure I am in myself that I've ever been. And that's a nice place to be. I'm not saying I'm there all the way yet, but I'm certainly getting to a place where, yeah, I feel comfortable. I feel secure in myself. Sorry, and that has come through continuously getting outside my comfort zone.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely think like just failing in general has such a negative connotation. Um, I noticed that as well. Like coming over here, the way they do the grading system, it's A, B, C, D, or F. And it was like, it's a long story, but I ended up getting an F on an assignment. It was probably the first time I've ever got an F in college. For the Irish people, like me and Ciaran were talking about it, the school here is a little different, let's just say.
That's very generous. Different.
But I ended up getting an F for in short. And it's funny, the week after that, we had to write an essay on the the schooling system in America, and I didn't hold back, let's just say. But I talked about how failure is not rewarded; it's punished. Like you're told if you if you if you get an A, you're great. Like, well done, you're the best. If you get a B, it's good, but you can be better. If C, pushing, D, rough, and then F is like you're shy. But even an F is under like 50%, and it's you're punished for trying and failing. Now, fair enough. Obviously, if people don't give their all, if they don't do the essay to their full ability and they get an F, then fair enough. Like whatever. But I wrote about in this essay that people who will get A's their whole way through college will never have a sort of like failure. Do you know what I mean? They'll just win the whole way through. And then let's say when they finish college after 4 years, they've got all A's, they finish college, and then boom, they get a failure. What do they do? Because they've never experienced that failure at any point in the past 4 years. Yeah, maybe their girlfriend broke up with them, or maybe whatever, they lost a tennis match, but they've never actually had to like recoup. Like, I got an F, what can I do to get better? And then I'll build it back up, and over time you might get an A. So it's definitely like, obviously getting outside your comfort zone is the main theme of this episode, but I want to make sure that people understand that failure is not a bad thing. Like actually going out there and seeking failure can sometimes actually benefit you, and because going into something knowing that you're not going to be the best is very, very beneficial. Like I definitely knew that when I started posting I knew the editing was shit. But I was just like, it's bad now, and maybe in a couple of episodes or videos I'll get better. And I did. And it's the same with kind of this podcast. It's like, yeah, maybe we'll get a few downloads, but yeah, we'll just have better conversations, and we'll learn how to use the software, learn all these different things. And I definitely approach a lot of things now kind of in not negatively and like, oh, I'm going to fail, but it's like, if I fail, it's okay, because I'm going to learn so much through that failure. And I think, again, like you said, that like getting out of your comfort zone is literally being okay with like being shit at the start, because realistically, that's the way everyone is. Like I talked about it so many times, but like the whole team, the Tussig and all that stuff is like, you're going to be shit at the start. You're going to fail at the start, but you're going to be even worse if you never start, you know? And literally it's that first step, and understanding that like failure is part of the journey. And I think there's a lot of reasons why people may fear failure. And actually, why do you think people fear failure? Like, what is it the comfort of the being in the middle of the pack, or what is it about failure? Because like I'm okay with it now. Obviously it's not nice failing, but like I'm okay with the failure. Like, what do you think it is?
I think this problem is heightened in Ireland, and that's just my take
Mm,
on it being in Ireland. And since I've come to America, I've kind of noticed that, because I think what happens with fear of failure is, and again, this is only coming from my perspective and from my story and from what I see the world to be and how I've experienced the world. But for me, fear of failure is, well, if I fail, it comes from the questions that I have to answer then if I fail. If I fail a test, if I fail in my organic chemistry exam on Friday, I'm shit at organic chemistry. I'm a failure. I can never do that. Like having to answer those questions just because I maybe naturally have a little bit of like negative self-talk. That would just be the way I'm inclined to, or previously in the last couple of years would be how I'm inclined to talk, or that.
do you
And
think
then,
maybe it's due to the fear of the opinions of other people when you fail too?
and that's exactly what I was just going to say. Yeah. So those, not only am I answering those questions in my mind, it's then, oh God, what are other people going to think of me now that they've seen that I've got 49% on my exam, or I came last on the 100-meter sprint, or I lost a tennis match? For me, and in my perspective, where my fear of failure came from was all to do with the opinions and of others, and what other people thought of me. Um, and this is really, really, really uh, like a devastating thing in tennis, because tennis is, a lot of tennis players are tied to like their identity is tied to their results and their accomplishments. And I think that's natural. I think we can probably talk about that for people in every aspect of life, but in tennis it's kind of highlighted in that people are attached, that their identity is attached to their results. So if they're a really good tennis player, they're just the best person ever, and then there's this hierarchy of people who are below them because they're not as good as tennis as them. And I think that's really, really dangerous, is that when you start like aligning your identity with how good you are, that's really, really dangerous, because
Mm.
firstly, tennis isn't going to be in your life forever, or that thing that makes you successful isn't going to be in your life forever. So when that goes, like, what do you have left to prove for, you know? So then if I lose a tennis match, all these tennis players are not going to like me because they're going to think I'm shit at tennis, or vice versa. My ego is going to be like inflated because I've won a tennis match, and now these people are going to think I'm good. So yeah, the fear of failing is 100% from my perspective what other people are going to think of me, and that was hard to get out of. That was hard to break that mold. But the way I did that, and in previous years, the way I got out of that was I looked like you said, I looked failure in the eye. Like before I started on a journey, I said, "All right, Grant, let's look at it. Let's see. Let's look at what it's gonna look like if I fail. If I fail miserably, what's it gonna look like? Okay, so let's just take America for example, or a tennis match. Even if I go into a tennis match and I fail, I lose 6-love, 6-love in an hour, and it's done. And I got absolutely whooped, and I was just terrible, terrible tennis match. That's a complete and utter failure, right? So what's going to happen if that happens? Is my family going to leave me? Am I not going to have a dinner? Like, am I not going to eat that night? Am I still going to, like, am I going to lose the roof over my head? Am I going to lose the health that I have right now? Am I going to lose all the things that are important in my life? No, it's tennis. It's it's okay. It adds to my life, yeah, but it's meaningless. At the end of the day, it's meaningless. It is no standing. So why would I fear losing that tennis match? Yeah, nothing in my life is going to change other than, yeah, I lost that tennis match. That doesn't make me a worse person. That doesn't make me any less of a person. That doesn't make me any less competent as a person. So
But it
nothing's going
also
to change.
teach you like the level that you're at, you know. Because if
100%.
you lose 6-love, 6-love, you're like, well, he's a lot better than me. So if I want to beat him, I'm gonna need to get better than him, you know. And it's that again, it's that change of mindset. Like you need to be able to accept it. Be like, okay, I wasn't good today, but maybe in a couple of months' time, with a bit more practice, like I'm gonna be better than him, you know.
Yeah, and I think, so I think we can then apply that to the people that are listening to this podcast, and if they want to start their own journey, start a business, start posting more on Instagram, go ask the girl that they fancy out at the bar or whatever. Like, if you embark on something that is naturally going to take you outside your comfort zone, look at what happens if you fail. Actually, look at it. Look what happens if you fail, what you think failure is going to be, and see what's going to happen. Are you going to die? Probably not. Are you going to lose your health? Probably not. Are your family going to leave you? Probably not. So I think when we start from zero, if I lose, or if the girl says no, or whatever, I'm no worse off than when I started. So why not just give it a
Mm,
go? You know,
yeah,
2 multiplied by 0 is still 0. So if you start from 0 and you fail, you're still at 0. You're not going to be no worse off than you were when you started. So why not just give it a go? Because, and the reason is, and that's the caveat, is because if and when you then succeed, you're much better off from when you started. That's how you grow, because that's just ultimately how life goes. Because eventually, if you keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, you will the doors will open up. You will start to succeed. The girl will finally say yeah, like the whatever. Um. So yeah, like you have to just, in order to achieve these things that you want to achieve, you're just gonna have to go. You're gonna have to do it, and failure, it's going to be a part of it. But the quicker you fail, you're one step closer to winning and succeeding. A winner is just a failure that tried one more time. You know, it's a bit cliche, but it's true. And in order to do that, we're going to have to get outside our comfort zones.
do you think, and I think this, but do you think a lot of people procrastinate because of, again, that fear of failure?
One hundred
I
percent.
definitely, not a lot, but every now and again the procrastination does creep in, especially when I'm tired and, you know, maybe the thing that I want to get done doesn't like necessarily need to get done. Do you know what I mean? Or again, it's something that I don't necessarily enjoy, like studying chemistry. Like fuck that, you know. But um, I read this. I can't remember which book it was in, but it was Perfect or Done, and it was basically, you know, when starting something out, a lot of time people want to get it perfect. They want to get it 100%. Um, and again, they never start. And I think that's something that every now and again it'll creep into me. But definitely, like since starting the podcast and again, like learning all these new softwares or whatever, it's like it's again it's starting from that zero. And we know that episode one was awkward. There was a few silences. You were shouting over me. I was shouting over
Yeah.
you, and like I've been told by a couple of people on how we've started to flow a bit better, you know. And if we had it planned, and if we had just had like 15 Zoom calls to make sure that our flow was better, we would have never like posted. We would have never got it out in the world. And I think like again, you need to ask yourself a couple of questions when procrastination hits you, and it definitely hits like a train sometimes. But it's like, you know, what's your why? Like what the end goal is. Like have that in mind. You know, is it necessarily something that you love to do? Like I said, the chemistry, sometimes I don't love to do it, but it has to get done, because again, the end goal, I think we talked about it last week. The end goal is I need to graduate, so I need to pass this class. Um, and I think one thing that I want to start doing a little more is like, does this thing make me a better person? Now, I think there's only a couple of times where that can show in the sense of like procrastination and speaking to people. But like definitely, like, I know since I started doing the podcast or whatever, a few people have texted me or whatever, and I've tried to be open to it, where sometimes I'd kind of be a bit like, not closed, but like I have shit to do and I won't, listen, or I won't speak or whatever. And that's kind of another thing of procrastination that I, I want to start opening up and having these conversations with lots of different people. And sometimes if I'm not in the mood because I'm procrastinating on whatever goal I'm doing, I'm just not gonna, answer to them. So I definitely think procrastination, and I want to get your opinion. Like, procrastination is a killer in terms of starting, in terms of getting outside your comfort zone.
Do you think that the people that have reached out to you, who you may have previously been kind of a little bit like, you may not have responded, or it may have taken you a little while, and per se you've procrastinated getting back to them or talking to them, is that coming from like, do you feel that, like, how competent do you feel to be able to have those conversations? Is that something that you feel you lack? Like, is that something that you feel maybe you're not as naturally good at as other things, like talking to people and being open with people and having those DMCs, um, when they text you, or like, or why, for what reason are you procrastinating that?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the root of that coming from?
I definitely like, I definitely would be an introvert,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny again, I'm posting all this shit online and whatever, and I definitely at heart I'm an introvert. I love my own company. I love being on my own in my own space. And sometimes, like, when someone, I struggle to have conversations with people who, like, I don't want to sound like a like big cunt, like whatever, but that don't align with like the mission and the goals
Mm-hmm.
that I have. It's hard for me to have those conversations sometimes, and I definitely want to be open to, because again, not everyone that you converse with is going to be your business partner, or is
Mm-hmm.
going to, help you grow your business, or help you, grow your social circle. Like, not everyone. Some people are just going to be just a normal conversation with someone. And I think that's something that I definitely want to work on over the next couple of months, is just having conversations with people, because you never know where they're going to lead to. Um, but definitely, I don't think it helps being where I am right now.
Yeah, of
I know
course.
you have a lot more people around you, a lot more young people, like, you know, young, ambitious, kind of outgoing people. If they're going to a big school like Notre Dame or whatever, like, you're gonna be out there a bit more. Like, of course, there's the introverts there too, but something I find here is it's very secluded, and people are to themselves, and they just want to come here, get their degree, and it's not as open, I feel like, here. And that's maybe why I do a lot of stuff on social media and online, because I can get that. I can meet people like you. I can meet people like from home or whatever. Um, so yeah, definitely over the next couple of months, I want to work on that, in the sense that, speaking to people just to speak to them.
Mm.
Maybe they don't need to help me in some way, or they don't need to align necessarily with my mission and my goals, but just having normal conversations with normal people, because you never know what you're going to learn from them.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's important, and I think that's something that I had maybe looked at well, not a long time ago, but whenever I kind of started on this journey, was kind of something that I looked at myself, and that was coming from, again, that kind of fear of what people might think of me if I put myself out there. So that's why when I was a teenager, and naturally, if the people who are in my core circle will know that I'm pretty like fairly energetic, fairly social, loves chatting to people. No, I'm still, when I say introvert, I mean like when I'm out with people, my social battery drains. So yeah, I'm absolutely able to be in a place and socialize with people, and I'll chat the face off and anyone. But my social battery just drains. So I need my iPad time. I need my time by myself. I need time to just stare at the ceiling and do nothing and recharge most of the time. There's only one person in my life that I don't feel as if my battery drains. And so anyway, to be able to, that was something that I wasn't good at. When I was when I was a teenager, I developed into kind of someone that was just putting a mask on and just trying to be fit in and kind of be in that middle of the pack that we were talking earlier, and never really striving for anything else. And so I had to change that, and that's something that I actively worked on for months and months and months. And it was the one thing that, kind of the main thing that I worked on when I was younger, when I first started this journey, was to be able to just be able to express who I am on the outside. So now we're getting back to getting out of my comfort zone, which is a weird thing to think about, isn't it? Like, getting out of my comfort zone for me meant just expressing who I actually naturally am with the people that I love and care about around me, who they see on a day-to-day basis, but not everyone in the world would see that because I'm scared of what people might think of me. So it took me about maybe 6 months, a year to be able to just longer, a year and a half, 2 years, to be
How
able
did
to
you do it though?
So
Like, what were the steps? That's the juicy bit.
Good fucking question. Good fucking question. I have one word, cringy, but it's courage. It's
massive.
courage. Courage is what if I could get a tattoo across my forehead, it would be courage.
Maybe get it on your arm, maybe not on the forehead.
Maybe, yeah, okay. Have it on I have it on the front of my I have it on the front of my journal that I journal in. Nice. Courage is the word that I live by, and it was the ability. So this is what helped me get out of my comfort zone, was the ability to do a thing or go towards a goal or something naturally uneasy for me. However, having no thought for consequences or no consideration for what might happen, whether it be a success or whether it be a failure, just going towards that thing. No matter what might happen, just do it. Just go for it. So obviously that took like having to be okay with failure and all that sort of stuff and not caring about what people think. But naturally, at the beginning, it's hard. So having the courage to go and do something with, irregardless of what might happen in the future, irregardless of what might people think. But I know that I'm doing that thing because I really believe in that thing, and that's who I am. That's who I represent. That's what my character is. So when me and my coach started working together, he used to challenge me to do these little acts of courage all the time. We'd have a conversation once a week during lockdown, and we'd be FaceTime, and he'd be like, okay, this week I'm going to challenge you to do this. This week I'm going to challenge you to do that. The first one I remember was I was in a car with him, and we were driving to a tennis match, and it was me, him, and maybe one other person, and this older member from our tennis club. And he like turned off the radio, and he was like, all right, Ciaran, sing a song, any song. And for me, he was like a 16-year-old introvert, was like, what? Sorry, excuse me? There's no way I'm singing a song. He was like, no, go on, sing a song. You have to do a song, no music, just go for it. And I was like, for people who knew me in secondary school, like, that would be my worst nightmare. Anyway, eventually did it. That was just one example.
What song was it?
Oh, that's a challenge. I don't know. Probably something Ed Sheeran. It was a bit fruity. Like, let's be honest, that's who I was when I was 15, 16.
Do you want to maybe give us a little rendition of it? Or
yeah, of
maybe
course,
we save that for episode 10?
I don't remember the song. Whoever's my coach listens to these podcasts. If he remembers the song, I'll come on next week and sing it. If not, I'll just give you a rendition of some sort of Ed Sheeran, because we all know I know the words to every Ed Sheeran song ever.
Stick to your word now.
However,
you said it online.
Yeah, it's all right. We get €12 for this podcast anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, so little acts of courage to be able to get outside my comfort zone. And obviously at the time I was starting this was just to be better as a tennis player. But now that I can look back on it, I see that this has just propelled me in my own life, because now in any aspect of life, regardless of tennis, I don't fear getting outside my comfort zone. I'm happy to express who I am. But to bridge that gap, it was little acts of courage. And I think that's important with any skill that we preach and we talk about, that we have practiced in my life and in your life over the last few years. It's the compounding effects of practicing that skill is what makes us better. We're building capacity to take on more challenging issues in the future. So if I start with singing a song in front of my coach in the car on the way to a tennis match when I'm 16, 17, then when he challenged me to go run into the Irish Sea in February, I'm like, okay, well, I know I could sing in the song, so I know I'm brave enough to go jump in the sea. And now he's challenged me to go and like sing in front of like the lounge in the tennis club on a Saturday night, and but I know I did the other two things, so I'm able to do that. So I know I'm able to do this one. So we're building capacity to keep challenging ourselves to do harder and harder things in the future. So that's with any skill. That's with confidence. That's with courage. That's with discipline. Anything. It's just compounding effects and building capacity to take on harder challenges in the future. Um, so yeah, it's been a long process, and in every day now, I try and challenge myself to have little acts of courage and just keep compounding that stack of evidence that I have to prove to myself that I can express myself and be who I want to be. So nowadays, so it's gotten to the point where now I am like I'm proud of myself to say that like I'm exactly, and I try every day to be, like you said, the best version of myself. And for me, that's going down the road and smiling and saying hello to every stranger that I see, or when I'm doing my grocery shopping, I'm talking to the person at the till, asking them how their day is and what they're up to after work, and or I go up and I'll make relationships with my professors and my lecturers in college, and I genuinely want to know them. That's just the person who I am. That's not, and of course, that's not everybody. Not everyone's going to be like that. So you need to find what works for you. But I'm now just I'm secure enough within myself that I feel as if I can and should be just express myself for who I am on a daily basis, and that has been done by getting out of my comfort zone. And in order to do that, that has just been through little acts of courage, day by day, these little compounding effects. And I've been able to achieve things in quite recently that I've never would have dreamed I would have been able to do a couple of years ago, that have taken really big acts of courage that I'm so proud of, and have led me down the path, like the best paths I've been down so far.
What's been the biggest act of courage in the last couple of months?
In a couple of months, I can
Yeah.
tell you the exact date, mate. It was the 30th of June 2023.
Is
And
she listening?
she'll fucking kill me for this. But
If it's
yeah.
cringy, I don't want to hear it. I'll be jealous.
No, it's not cringy. It's fucking beautiful, and there's gonna be a movie made out of it. I'll tell you
Oh
that much.
yes, happy days. Go on.
No, I'm messing. The night I went up and talked to my now girlfriend for the first time. Holy God, I've never been so nervous in my life. But anyway, yeah, it took me. I was in a pub and I went up to her, and I knew who she was. She was kind of her sister's mates with my sister, or whatever. So I knew who she was, and yeah, I knew she was going to be there. And for that whole day, I've never been so nervous in my life. But however, having said that, for all the, and I know it sounds cringy, but through the last 3 or 4 years of these little acts of courage that I've been practicing, it was just instinctual for me that I was like, no, I'm able to do this. This feels right. I'm going to go chase these feelings this feels like this is the right thing to do. So I'm going to go chase it. And I know that if she turns around and is like, who the fuck are you? Get away from me, you creep. I know that I'll be no worse off. So I didn't
Yeah,
care what the outcome was. Of course I cared what the outcome was, and now I'm very
yeah,
grateful that thankfully
yeah,
she decided to chat to me that night. But yeah, that has definitely been, oh my God, so nerve-wracking
yeah,
was that. When you're about to do something and like the 20 seconds before you're like, holy God, I have to do this. But that's where it comes in. That's where the courage
yeah.
kicks in, and that instinct just comes in, and the ability to just go and do it and just say fuck it. I think in life sometimes we need to get better at just being able to say fuck it.
Mm,
I think we just need to be able to say, why wouldn't I do this? Life's too short. Why wouldn't I just go do this thing, or go try and say hello to this girl and tell her my name? And yeah, a lot of embarrassing stories, but no, it's been the best journey that I've been on so far. And it's the journey that I've been the most proud of since starting
mm,
this journey with my coach. Has kind of the preparation that it's now the preparation that I've been doing subconsciously
yeah.
to now be in this relationship that
It's
I'm in
led to
is
this point. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
So
Good lad. Yeah, I mean, it's again. I think you just said it there. Like knowing it's kind of morbid, but like knowing in 8 years' time when you're gonna fucking pop your clogs, like
mhm.
I didn't do that, or you know, why did I, or I should have done this, or I could have done that. It's like I couldn't think of anything worse. Like, I think personally, like, I want to live like the most exciting, exhilarating life, full of ups and downs, and like, obviously there's not much exhilarating going on where I am right now, but like, I know that this time in my life is going to be like that. But I think I want to be on a journey. Like, I want my life to be a journey and not just a fucking a chore, and I have to just live every day just because, um, and I think the only way to do that is to just say fuck it and to do it, and it's something that I need to do more, because personally I am like that is such a short term, like going up and speaking to that girl is like such a short term, like I've had the thought
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm going to take action, where I need to get better at that 100%. I am more like long term planning, in a sense that,
Yeah.
like, again, like stating to everyone in the world that I want to build this thing that isn't, it's not really a thing yet. Do you know what I mean? I'm building a company, hopefully, that doesn't necessarily have a single product, and it's like I don't even have the product yet, and I've said that, and I have the courage to say that, and the courage to say, fuck it, I'm gonna say it, and then I'm gonna fucking do it, you know. And like I said, that's more kind of like long term, fuck it, and devoting time and devoting effort to building this thing that may not even work out, and again may fail, but it's definitely something that I need to get better at. Is that short term of like, okay, yeah, maybe you need to go speak to that person, or maybe this guy has a fucking nice watch on and he looks like he has money. Let's go speak to him and see what he's about, and that type of stuff. And definitely, like I mentioned, it's definitely something that I really want to work on this summer. Is that like quick, like, okay, I've had the thought, let's go take action now. And I definitely, do you know what? Now that I'm saying that, I remember I posted it on my story a while back ago. Like, I was at home, and I had a phone call to make, like a pretty serious phone call. It was actually for the business, like, it was one of my first like actual steps into like the businessy world, like, and I remember I was procrastinating, like fuck, like I was scared. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew I had to make a call to this, like, probably like in his 50s, like established businessman, like he knew what he was doing, and there's me coming in who just fucking posted a few videos. Like, I honestly, I didn't feel like this guy was gonna help me in any sense. Um, Complete procrastination. And I remember I was walking the beach because I was bringing the dog for a walk, and I just had the thought of like, if you decrease the time between the thought and the action, everything will just, you'll just do it. You know what I mean? For me, I had the thought of, I need to call this guy. I said, okay, I'll call him in an hour, or I'll call him when I get back after the beach. And during that time period, it was just procrastination central. And then when the time was up, I just didn't do it because I just procrastinated for an hour, you know. So I remember I got into the car after walking the beach, and I said, "Oh shit, I need to call that guy." And I said, "Fuck it, I'm calling him right now." Picked up the phone, called him. Hand was shaking, man,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
proper shaking. Fella ended up being like so nice, so accommodating. We ended up having like an in-person meeting there, like a couple of days after, and I was like, "Fuck, if I had just sat in that thought for another hour, I wouldn't have called him. I would have had that meeting. I never would have got feedback. Never would have built any sort of relationship with him. And I think I need to do that more. I definitely have got a little complacent, especially being here, being like class training, laptop. Like, that's my life. And I think over the summer, when I'm a bit more free and a bit more out there, it's gonna be something that I'm gonna actively work on.
Yeah, I think that's great noticing from you, but I think there's no. I think when I'm presented with something like that to do, something that I know is going to require courage and something that's going to require me to get outside my comfort zone, I always try and remind myself that there's no better time than the present. And what I mean by that is, naturally I am a bit of an overthinker, and I like to like I used to tend to like to have every single detail thought out and planned, and in order to then execute this plan. That's very naive and rarely ever going to work. And the emotion that you're going to spend trying to do that is just not worth it.
Mm.
I think the longer that when I have something that I need to do, the longer that I wait to do that thing, the more room there is for my negative self-talk to creep in, and the more demons that are going to be there by the time I actually need to do the thing. So time for me is, and this may not apply to everybody, but I can only speak from my perspective, is that time for me is a dangerous thing. When I have a thought of, I know I want to do something, the longer I have between that thought and doing that thing is not a good thing for me, because I will naturally overthink and try and, yeah, I'll just come up with a million reasons as to why it's not the right thing to do. So, and that's one thing that I've worked on, and this is kind of the thing that I've been working on most recently, is just like trusting my instinct, and being okay making decisions based off my instinct. And that's probably absolutely going to lead me to fail more times than not, but I'm at a stage now where I don't mind that. That's okay, because I know that if I fail, I'm going to learn. So if I have an instinct, and people always say it, like, trust your instinct. Your instinct is rarely wrong. So go and trust your instinct. Go and chase the feelings that, like, if something feels right, if something feels as if it's the right thing to do, go and do that thing. Because for me anyway, the more time I leave between thinking the thing and doing the thing, I'm gonna overthink and go down a spiral, and not actually end up doing the thing. So yeah, I think the point between thought and action for me needs to be really quick, because I know I'll tend to, and I'm not saying, like, of course there's things in life that require thought and care and consideration, absolutely. But if it's something that I know is right and something that's going to require me to get outside my comfort zone, I give myself, yeah, whatever, however amount of time, and then I'm just like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. And if I fail, I fail. But I think the way I try and approach life now is that I'd rather try and fail than just stay where I am and stay stagnant for my whole life. I would much 100% rather try everything and fail at it, and knowing where I am and knowing where I lie, as opposed to not trying anything, not going chasing a goal, but never really know what I'm capable of. For me, that's a boring life, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, I'm gonna go try and chase goals, and just say fuck it.
Fuck it, that's it. Give the people what they want. Let's give them one. I love the small acts of courage.
Mm-hmm.
So let's give the 4 people that are listening now, like, one act to do this week or this month. No, this week, has to be this week.
Mm-hmm.
That will help them get outside the comfort zone.
Darragh,
and it doesn't have to be singing in the car, or
I often
just something
find
really small, something really
that's
small,
the
something
best
really small.
one.
Put you on the spot.
When you're going, if you go to the shops,
Yeah.
and you're buying a coffee or whatever, and you go up to the person at the till or the cashier or whatever, ask them how they are, and just wait for the response. Like, before you say anything, genuinely want to hear their response, and don't say anything before they reply. Because I think oftentimes we just mindlessly throw away "how are you?" or like "hi, can I get the latte or cappuccino?" Actually, ask the person how they are. That might be uncomfortable for some people. Ask someone how they are and wait for their response before you go ordering your chai mocha latte with oat milk and vanilla and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Ask someone how they are and wait for their response.
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna try that as well. I'm definitely gonna try that, because again, it's something that I'm open to, like, admitting that I'm not good at that. You know what I mean? So again, being, it's the whole reason again why we've done this, is to learn and to be open to new things, and being open to being shy, being a failure at something. And again, it's definitely the one thing that I want to work on a lot, is that. And I definitely think, because that's such a small thing, you know what I mean? And you might do that 2 or 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the shop, like you said, going for a coffee. Because again, so many people just, hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. Yeah, can I get a latte? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I noticed when was it? Oh, we had to do volunteering actually there the other week for the team. and it's actually on my birthday, and it was torture because it was like 12 hours. Anyway, it's probably child labor. I won't say no more.
Well,
Um,
you're 22 now, so I don't know if it
oh
can be considered.
yeah, that's fair. But I noticed that I don't. Maybe this is just manners. Maybe it's just the way I've grown up. But a lot of people would just we were giving out like drinks and we were giving out sweets and stuff. A lot of people would just come up and say Coke,
Mm.
and like honestly, I was shocked. Like I would say, "Hey, how are you?" and just completely disregard what they say.
Yeah,
But I noticed that a lot of people and a lot of kids, especially, were kind of which kind of scared me. It was just Coke, popcorn, M&Ms. It wasn't
yeah,
hello, please, thank you, and I was like, "Fuck me." And that, again, being self aware and being able to notice that it was massive, and it was probably one of the reasons why I really want to make sure that that doesn't happen to me
yeah,
in the next, however long. Because again, it is something that um in the next couple of years is going to be a prevalent thing because of how social we are online.
yeah.
You know, people are scared of face to face interactions.
Hmm.
Um,
I think we need to add
Definitely.
add on to that challenge. You have to look in that person's eyes. You're not allowed.
Oh,
You're not allowed to look at the menu and be like, "Hi, can I have a latte, please?" No, you look in their eyes and you wait and you say, and if it comes across as creepy, so be it. You'll never see them
mm,
again in your life. Look in their eyes and actually ask them genuinely care about what their response is going to be.
yeah,
Because I think
that's a
that
good one.
probably plays into your story there. Like look into their eyes and be like, "Hey, how are you?"
Yeah, that's massive. Fucking hell. I have to challenge myself. I'll report back in
Yeah,
next whenever we find time to
love it.
do the next episode.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever that is, I might be in Alabama by then, but
Yeah, I might be in
yeah,
Ireland,
yeah.
but
We're gonna get further away from each other.
yeah, yeah. But look at I don't know. Probably could leave it there.
No, I think
I
that's
was- I
good.
think I really think that was good. I think especially having the challenge at the end. Honestly, I was editing these there whatever. I think it was last week's one. I was editing it there the other night, and I think you said something. What did you say? I think it might have been the equation. Maybe I think I
Hmm.
posted it today actually. I was listening back. I was like, "Fuck me! There's only going to be like 500 people watch this, and
Mm.
like 20 will listen to it. But like that's actually proper valuable. It's
Yeah,
proper good
yeah,
information, and
yeah,
it's obviously it's just the way it is how we start off. But like I think I'm learning from just having these conversations, and
yeah.
I just
Same, man.
fucking hope other people are doing the same.
Yeah, and I think, but that's 100% it. And I think, look, if we have one or two or three core listeners besides my mom and your mom, and like young lads that or young people in general, if we have a couple of core listeners that are actually like implementing this into their lives, I mean, that's a win for me. I said that in the first podcast. I don't want 400 million views. I want a couple of people, and they don't even need to come and say it to me. But
Mm.
I just want to help people. And whatever I do in a career, I don't know, but I know that for a fact that whatever I'll do in my future, I want to help people. I want to help people be the best versions that they can be, and helping people realize that you can, yeah, just help yourself. Um, Also, I think my mom actually texted me there the other week, and she was like, "Don't underestimate the influence that you can have on people that are like. I know you're saying that you want to have impact on young lads and young people in general, but you can also impact like some of the conversations that we're having. Like many people that are age 45 plus have never had these conversations before either. So." I think I'm not blowing smoke up our asses here by no means, but
With
I
our
think we
40
can.
views.
Yeah, I think we can have influence over people, and I hope that's for me. That's the main thing.
Mm. Honestly, if we keep going the way we're going, it'll probably be a little difficult over the summer finding time to make these or whatever. But at the
You're gonna be
same
a pro
time,
guy
like,
player.
sure, look, we'll talk about that in another episode.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I think again, if we just keep going the way we're going, what is this episode 7? I think now
This is
maybe.
7. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, fucking, we'll keep going. I'm enjoying
Mm-hmm.
it. You're enjoying it too, and hopefully, again, we're impacting people and
Yeah,
helping people just start. Get outside their comfort zone, and um, yeah, we're all winners.
love it, love it.
We'll leave it there, people. Thank you again for listening. If you are enjoying it, the cliche, share it and like and I'll do all that shit. Because because again, we're enjoying making it, so it's not like it's a chore for us. And hopefully we're impacting you. So we'll leave it there, like I said, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Peace.